everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Another week, another freak. I don't know what's going on in the world. Does anybody? It is wild out there. It's windy, it's wild, it's unpredictable. It feels like the end of times, but it also feels like the beginning of times. I think we need a revolution of sorts. The people need to revolt. Everyone has a voice. Ironically, no one's using it. No one's using it for anything effective. Everyone has their voice and no one is using it for change. No one's using it for anything that matters. And I just think we need a revolution. How much fun would that be? We need some sort of collective outcry and a collective organization. Maybe we need to stop buying from the big corporations. Maybe we need to organize. Maybe we need to be more strategic. There's a lot of girls out here named Felicity that are intentional about their manifestations. Well, I think we need to be more intentional about societal manifestations. I think we need to be more intentional about what helps the greater good, not just ourselves, but the societal greater good. There's got to be something we can do collectively to make the world flow a little better. But then again, maybe I'm just a romantic amateur. Maybe I'm just a hopeless, romantic, naive child. I don't know. All I know is when I look out there, woo, girl, I got to shut the windows. I got to shut the windows. I'm locking the doors. Hide your kids, hide your wives, because it's wild out in the streets. And, you know, like I said, we don't get really political on this podcast, but we got to vote. Women, you got to get out there and vote for your rights, your body rights, your womb rights. We've got to do something, man. It's weird when you get older and you have to face issues. You have to care about issues because you realize how much your voice matters and how much we can affect change with our voice. So that's what I'll say about that. These ice cubes are really doing the job. I'm having a little rosé. I don't remember the brand. It's pretty delicious. A little too sweet. Nancy, my mother, the late great Nancy Lou Finley, she used to slob down a couple glasses of rosé. She would toss a few of those bad boys back in her Getio. So shout out to anyone with a dead mom, anyone out there missing their lovely family member. And if they used to drink some sort of wine, cheers to them. Studio wines in the house. I needed it for today's episode. Guys, before we get too deep into this, please help me out. If you want to help me out, you can like this video, hit the thumbs up right below. Also, subscribe to my page. That would be amazing. The page is growing slowly but surely, so thank you so much for your support. Also, rate the podcast if you're listening. Give us a 5-star rating. You know it's good. Tell your friends. Share the pod. That always helps us as well. And if you want to be a part of the podcast, you can email us your questions, comments, concerns, suggestions at Jessimae Peluso comedy@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can call the podcast 513-916-0930. Leave us a message. And if you want the exclusive version of this podcast, which includes the unedited episode, you can get that at my Patreon page. So make sure to subscribe to my fan page there, Jessimae Peluso. And you guys should know a portion of everything I do goes towards helping and advocating for the Alzheimer's Association and for Hilarity for Charity. So thank you guys so much. So much. There's a lot cracking in the world. I don't even know where to begin. Well, let's begin with my mail, not Maybay's mail. I got some more checks, you guys. And if you listen to this podcast, you know, when a check comes in the mail, it doesn't mean you're paying any bills. Sometimes when a check comes in the mail, it's so ridiculous that you wonder where the sender got the audacity to even put it in the envelope in the first place. Why are we wasting paper? Well, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and I've been scorned thrice now because these are 2 more checks. And I had a check from David Spade that made me put my lights out because it was a cent. That check was a penny, literally. And this is what happens. You get these earnings as a principal performer on these shows where you're going to get some sort of residuals. You hear the word residual, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to be rich. I heard about Seinfeld's residuals. I'm going to be rich. Well, not necessarily true. This one is a residual from Last Comic Standing. Oh, no. Last Comic Stealing. That's an episode 4 from the High Court with Doug Benson. So that's a friend of mine. I'll go at him. I will go at him because this check is for $13. Actually, I take it back 13 cents. You thought $13 was sad. From the makers of $13, we bring you 13 cents. To Doug Benson in the High Court, I say absolutely not. I did a couple episodes here that it was so much fun. That show was so much fun and ridiculous. I can't even believe we got to make it. We all got stoned and took actual court cases, which I honestly think should be the way we do it anyways. Everything's too serious. Everyone's too serious. We're taking ourselves too seriously. We all need to chillax, smoke a bowl, and go to court. But 13 cents, not going to be able to afford the Uber. Won't make it to court that day, Dougie B. So to Dougie B in the High Court, I say absolutely not. No, thank you, Sirree Bob. I ain't going to be able to pay the bills. The bills are going to fall apart. I'm going to get kicked out of my house, and I'm going to end up in court. Jeez Louise. What happened to phrases like that? Remember that? Remember those wholesome phrases? Jeez Louise. We need to get back to wholesomeness. I miss it. I don't even know if I've ever experienced it. I feel like we've gone so far away from a wholesome society. We're going towards this like completely scatological and wild existence. Well, speaking of wild existence, there's some Q snooze. And the last time I did some Q snooze, you guys probably were surprised that it was so methy. Well, this is kind of Syracuse. It's Syracuse adjacent. It's something that I found and I forgot and I wanted to talk about it. 750-pound alligator seized from a home in New York after reportedly being kept illegally. Obviously, a blind alligator weighing over 700 pounds and measuring more than 10 feet in length was seized from a home in upstate New York, sparking a potential legal battle between the owner and the authorities. A 700-pound blind alligator. How many disabilities can you have in one sentence? The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation seized the 30-year-old alligator named Albert Edward. Also, why does this alligator have such a distinguished name? Sounds like he went to Ivy League school. Did Albert go to Harvard, and does he enjoy croissants? Albert Edward from a residence in Erie County's Hamburg community on March 12th. This is when he was seized. So this is a little bit older of news, but I had to talk about it. Officials discovered that the owner lacked a proper permit for the animal. Oh, God, I can't. What is going on? We've lost our ability to read. Officials discovered that the owner lacked a proper permit for the animal and had not adequately secured it. Reportedly, the owner even allowed people to enter the pool with the unsecured alligator for petting purposes. How bad is your life that you want petting privileges with an alligator named Edward? Albert Edward, is he an inventor? Yeah, he's going to invent your death with his teeth. He allowed people to go into the pool. How insane are you? Like, I always judged people who did, and still do to this day, extreme sports and like riding their bicycles on the tops of mountains, across the apex of mountains, and people who skydive. These people clearly are so privileged in their life that they need to experience some sort of close stitch with death. These people have to experience and be on the cusp of death. These are the same types of people. You're going to go in a pool with an alligator for petting purposes? Hey, stay home and pet yourself. Hey, call a friend over and do some heavy petting. I'd rather you heavy pet with your cousin than an alligator in a pool. Maybe that's a little too far, but that's how ridiculous I think this is. The owner previously held a license for the alligator. It expired in 2021 and was not renewed. It's a lot different than like not renewing your driving license. This guy has an alligator license? Why is that even a thing in the first place? This country's so messed up. People can't get health care, yet this guy can get an alligator with a piece of paper? Absolutely insane. And by the way, if somebody wants to go and commit a crime with a machine gun, they shouldn't be allowed to do that. I think if they want, they can use an alligator. Try and make it happen with an alligator. See how far you get. Authorities found that Albert Edwards suffered from various health issues, including blindness and spinal complications. Yeah, because he lived in some guy's pool in Erie County. in upstate New York. This alligator's like, damn it, I can't even make it to Florida. The alligator was transferred to a licensed caretaker for temporary housing until a more permanent arrangement could be made. Meanwhile, the owner, Tony Cavallaro, is a fellow paisan, defending his actions, stating that he followed regulations and should be grandfathered in. Look, I know people talk about men not having emotional connections or having ability to connect to their emotions or access these emotions, but here's this guy who loves his alligator, and he wants to be grandfathered into an alligator arrangement because he wants to be able to keep his pet. Look, if a man's going to love something, let him love something. If it's going to be an alligator or a human, I don't know, but I think we should definitely encourage this relationship. I hope it's a platonic relationship. I hope that there's nothing strange going on, although this guy is giving petting privileges to his neighbors in the pool with the alligator. Maybe we should look at the ring cam footage and see what's really going on. I left a comment and I said, leave my family's emotional support gator out of this. This poor guy, I think that the internet went insane. They wanted him to get his alligator back. I don't know if he got his alligator back because this is something that I just found and I wanted to discuss it and I didn't look up. Let's see if we can find if this guy got his alligator back. Tony Cavallaro, guy with alligator, upstate New York. Let's see what the latest is. Court sends alligator on a 1,500-mile trip from New York State. What happened to Albert the alligator? He has a new home. The department received an anonymous complaint about Cavallaro owning the alligator. The state laws, and because he failed to renew his permit, said that they had to actually take the alligator. Where is Albert the alligator? Moved to a rehabilitation facility in Texas after he was seized from the home. And I guess he's been moved to this facility in Texas. So he went from New York State to Texas. Big differences. Big differences. Let's see what the health problems were with him. He's suffering with blindness and spinal issues. Years of inadequate treatment. See, if you're going to have an alligator, you can't mistreat it. You can't mistreat any creature on earth. Who do you think you are? This guy's lucky this alligator didn't break out. His back was too bad for him to break out of the enclosure. I wonder if this alligator felt like he was in some sort of retreat because he had a pool. People came over and was petting him, so we got like a little massage treatment. I just think it's strange. And now that I'm thinking about it, maybe we shouldn't condone this or support a grown man getting an alligator. Maybe that's worth a little look-see into his internet history and see what else he's got going on. Check the closets. Check his closets. Let's do a couple absolutely nots. I title this next one Airbnb. This is a nightmare for me because of how many places I've stayed, how many places I've traveled and have been to, the amount of states and countries I've been to, and how many Airbnbs I've been inside of. This news story is so worrying. It freaks me out. A CNN investigation has found that Airbnb, one of the world's largest short-term rental companies, consistently fails to protect its guests despite knowing that hidden cameras are a persistent concern within its industry. Thousands of images have been recovered from the rental host by law enforcement. Hidden cameras placed in bedrooms and bathrooms show guests during their most private moments, changing clothes, being with their children, even having sex, according to CNN. The review of the court and police records, as well as interviews with guests who had found surveillance devices in rental properties, were told by the police they had been recorded secretly. In a statement to CNN, an Airbnb spokesperson said that hidden cameras and hidden camera complaints are rare, but when they do occur, we take appropriate, swift action. And we can always include removing hosts and listing that violate the policy. How swift of an action can you take? Because this guy, you know it's a guy. No woman's looking at recordings. And if there are, that's a whole other level of freakiness because women are just so different. And I feel like I can say that statement generally and you guys will pretty much agree with me. This is a male-dominated sport. Let's be real. People recording people in Airbnbs. Oh my God. I don't even want to think about it. You know how cozy I get in Airbnbs? A little too cozy. And I've traveled alone. I've traveled alone for years. And I'm thinking about how many shots they saw of my bunghole. How many shots is my bunghole in? You know, a friend years ago made a really good point. He said, you go to Disney World. Don't you ever wonder how many backgrounds of people's photos that you're in? And I always thought about that. And now I'm wondering how many foregrounds of Airbnb hidden cameras am I in? And have I been in? Because I don't know that anyone reported those. Some guy could be whacking off to me right now. Oh, God, I need to stay home. But I don't want to. See, we need to revolt. We have to revolt against Airbnb. We need a revolution. To Airbnb, I say absolutely not. Figure it out. This is so concerning and gross. There was another lawsuit brought on by another victim whose fun-filled vacation turned into a voyeuristic nightmare. A woman was secretly recorded undressing at a rental property. Her images stored on the computer of an alleged sexual predator accused of spying on unsuspecting renters for years. Airbnb, one of the world's largest short-term rental companies, has seen this sort of scenario. But before, this one played out differently. An Airbnb representative testifying at a court-ordered deposition early last year offered a rare glimpse at one of the company's hidden camera problem. They have generated tens of thousands of customer support tickets related to these surveillance devices in the last decade. An Airbnb employee revealed that when a guest complains of a hidden camera, company doesn't, as a matter of practice, notify law enforcement, not even when a child is involved. What? How is that even possible? See, it takes something crazy to happen in order for policy to change. That's an unfortunate yet realistic expectation. You have to expect something horrible to happen in order for it to change, in order for there to be some sort of measures put into place to prevent it. The company, however, may reach out to hosts and set complaints. We saw that earlier. A move law enforcement experts say could hinder criminal investigations because it gives suspects times to destroy evidence. Exactly. How much evidence has been destroyed already? It's really problematic. This is not my social security number or my email address. This is my naked body, said one woman whose host secretly recorded her having sex with her husband at a cottage in Texas. This is so gross. I mean, I don't work for the CIA. I don't know what private or hidden cameras look like. Now I got to go ripping through lamps from IKEA and I'm going to be, charged. I'm just going to start tearing lamps apart if I have to stay in an Airbnb again. Airbnb declined CNN's request for interview, of course, but however, in a written statement, a spokesperson said that hidden camera complaints are rare, but when they do, blah, 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 yeah, of course, they do everything they can except notify the police. It's just insanity. The website, for example, tells users that they should not rely on its background checks to identify all past criminal convictions or sex offenders registrations or other red flags. Yes, that's what the whole point of a background check is, Airbnb. Do better. Do better. Maybe we need to revolt. This is just insane. Brian Chesky was unemployed when he and his roommate came up with the idea for Airbnb in 2007 while struggling to make rent in San Francisco. For $80 a night, they opened their home to 3 travelers, offering their mattresses, breakfast, and Wi-Fi. They called their startup Air Bed and Breakfast. 13 years later, a whole bunch of people are watching people have sex against their will and unbeknownst to them. Today, Airbnb, which is valued higher than Hyatt Hotels Corporation and Marriott combined, continues to chase the benefits of being an international host chain while shouldering few of the costs and responsibilities. It's absolutely ridiculous. It felt really gross, she said. I'm sure there's many, many people that have left the room having no idea that they've been recorded. A girl whose host had been criminally charged with voyeurism. Oh, Jesus. And it's like, are they getting rid of these hosts? Or are they getting just a lower rating? I'm sure even the people with 5-star ratings on Airbnb are perverts. It's so problematic. CNN reviewed that more than a dozen police investigations and lawsuits across USA involved at least 75 victims and found Airbnb often move swiftly to contain user complaints and resolve most of them out of court. Of course. Why wouldn't they? Everyone wants to resolve things out of court. They don't have to deal with anything. They don't have to solve problems. They don't have to become accountable. My boobies were on camera. We're taking this to court. We're going to court and I'm putting on an outfit. To Airbnb, I say absolutely not. It's problematic. You know what else is problematic? Brad Pitt dating a 31-year-old. I'm just so upset. Why? Brad Pitt has finally made his first public appearance with his girlfriend, 31-year-old Inez de Ramon. I can't stand the name. The name sounds like a crappy cologne you find on sale at Ross Dress for Less. And that's in no way a dig at Ross. Pitt and Ramon attended the British Grand Prix, giving his fans a rare glimpse of the actor's latest relationship after the sudden downfall between him and his ex, Angelina Jolie. Fans had a lot to say about the couple, with many pointing out that 31-year-old bared some resemblance to the actor's wife. Are you insane? This girl doesn't look like Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie is a goddess. This girl, she's cute, but it looks like she bought a lot of her cuteness. Okay, she purchased it. This person says he has a type. She looks like a Temu Angelina. Temu, I don't know how to say that website, but that's hilarious. He loves them young since the 80s. There are a few exceptions, but he's always been dating into the ones younger than him. People really think he's with her because she's young and whatnot. That is not even the prettiest woman Brad could have. Thank you, I am. Case closed. He makes his first public appearance with a new girlfriend. His social media users are making a bunch of comments. And I have a comment. No, thank you. No, thank you to these. He's 63. At some point, it just goes from being like, okay, predictable to problematic. I'm having a lot of problems lately, and this one's just problematic. 31 years old? What do you guys talk about? What do you have in common? You don't even have like the same vitamins in common. You're not even taking the same milligrams of magnesium. Your bone density is different. Forget about talking about your sight and your vision and your hearing. Brad is taking Metamucil. And this girl's like not even taking prenatals. She is a prenatal. She's a zygote. And Brad is dressed like someone from Weekend at Bernie's consistently. And this is my Hollywood dude. Don't tell Stamos. And here I am dissing Brad. Well, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed, Brad. Okay? I don't know what this girl does. Did it say what she does for work? Hopefully she stops working. These girls got to get smarter. You're going to date these rich old dudes? Find a slippery staircase and cash in. Come on. Absolutely not, Brad Pitt, is what I got to say. Absolutely not. I found an old school Maybay's mail. Not that old, but Shannon Torgerson is a fan of mine who sent me a couple plants, like actual plants in the mail. And I don't know how she did it. Mystified by the ability. I can barely even send my merch, which you guys can buy. My merch is available on jessimae.com/store or shop, I believe. And a portion of the proceeds will go towards the Alzheimer's Association and Hilarity for Charity. So check it out. We sent someone some merch out today. Shout out to Meryl. I think she might be one of our new Patreons as well. But Shannon sent me a couple plants in the mail. So impressed. The first one didn't make it, and the second one didn't make it. Shannon, I'm so sorry. I did everything you said. I think maybe the water here is horrible. It just is destroying my plants as well. But she says, I sent you the rare plant. I think USPS lost it. I listened to the podcast while I bake in a tropical greenhouse here in Washington, and I love it to the core. Everyone should be so lucky as to wake up and do something they love every day. You keep me grounded and giggling. For that, I'm grateful. Keep blessing my ear holes. How's your plant doing? I just love this time of year. Okay, back to work. Your plant friend, Shannon. And I wasn't sure if I had gave her a shout out because she was so kind to send me these plants, and I found this email and I just wanted to read it on air because she was so kind to mail me a plant. It makes me think of one of my best friends here in Los Angeles. Her mom mailed her a birthday cake, like a made baked cake in the mail. Not like from a company, like in a in a box, like a whole cake in a box. And she opened it up. It was everywhere. We ate it. We ate the whole cake. I think we were sick for a couple months, but boy, was it sweet. It was a real sweet gesture. Their mom just mailed a whole cake. Kind of reminded me of the grandma from Christmas Vacation, who I referenced a couple episodes back, who put the cat in the box. Remember when times were simpler? Just movies and everything was just simpler and fun. What happened? We need a revolution. We need a freaking revolution. There's so much happening. So many wild things out in the world. One thing that's wild I found while I was walking around my neighborhood, which is something that I need to do more of. I realized I need to walk more. Just walk. No destination, no phone. It's the one thing when I'm out on a walk in my neighborhood, I see a lot of people walking their dogs, looking at their phones. They're not even connecting with a simple act as walking your creatures. And so while I do want to have my phone with me for safety, I don't look at it when I am walking with my dogs. I feel like that's a time for you to be disconnected. And we're so connected more than ever. I know I am too. But I was taking a walk around the neighborhood and catching some vitamin D. And guess who's still missing? The neighborhood cat, Harvey. Do you guys remember a while back? Harvey, black with white spots on his chest and his belly. He's microchipped. Harvey, a.k.a. Vinny, was last seen on Saturday, 4/27. He slipped out with his collar. So he's a collarless cat. And I said, oh my God, cats don't go missing. They leave. Cats do not go missing. They voluntarily exit. They do their own mass exodus. They don't need anybody. They're cool, calm, and collected. There's coyotes in the street and they're like, and I'm busy. I'm busy living life. I'm busy doing me. I'm busy not worrying and stressing about all the things that are trying to get at me, because all I'm trying to do is get at this life. And I saw the sign and realized that we had talked about the cat a while back, but I saw the sign, realized Harvey may still be missing. And then I thought, he's not missing. And so what if he was? So what if Harvey got a little lost? Can't we all get a little lost? There's that saying, we all have to get a little lost to find our way. Maybe Harvey's just out there in the world still finding his way. And maybe the bigger problem is our need and desire to grasp on to Harvey so much. Maybe we gotta let Harvey go. Maybe we gotta let Harvey go and we all gotta get a little lost on our own. Maybe on the other side of getting lost, we find ourselves. We'll probably never find Harvey, but may we find ourselves. I'm gonna leave you on that. I hope you have a great week.